Okay, what do we have here? Well, if you've also subscribed to my other channel, Spring Holler Farm, you'll know that a while back we dispatched a couple of pigs that I raised and put them in the freezer. And what this is bacon. It's still raw. There's two pieces in there. You can kind of see that there's two pieces in there. And what they are in is a brine. And it's a little bit brown because I added some molasses and some applewood smoke flavoring. Not too much though, because it doesn't make a whole lot of a difference. And black pepper is the main reason, because I only put a tiny little bit of molasses in there, more for flavor than anything. You can see all the pepper on there. And I put it on the stove and I boiled it. Of course, I put in a 1/4 cup of salt per gallon of water, and I also put in a little bit of the pink salt that cures it, keeps it from growing bad bacteria while you're soaking it. Yes, believe it or not, bacteria will grow in that much salt, but anyway. And I let it soak for a week. And today we're going to smoke it. But first, how do you make bacon? Well, you start out with the raw pieces of side meat, the belly basically, and then you make your brine, which is basically a 1/4 cup of salt to every gallon of water and about a teaspoon of the pink salt per gallon of water. And then you bring it to a simmer. You don't have to bring it to a simmer if all you add is salt, but it's not going to be the most best tasting with just salt. But the other flavors, especially things like pepper, you want that flavor to get out into the water, those oils to get out into the water. So you want to simmer, bring it to a boil for a minute, and that also kills off any bad bacteria, and botulism is the one you're really worried about. Then you let it cool completely. You put it in the fridge, let it get nice and cold, and then you put your meat in that brine. And you let it brine. Since it's so thin, 5 or 6 days is more than enough for this. And then what do? That I'll show you next. What you do next is you transfer it into a pan that has a little bit of depth, like the one you see here. And you just cover it with water. I put water in the pan, I put the meat in the pan, you rinse it, and then you put it in the pan. And then you fill it the rest of the way up and cover it with water, which I will do off screen in a moment. And then you put it away in the refrigerator to soak for several hours. You could even soak it overnight if you want. The reason for this is it's going to be too salty. You need to draw some of the salt back out, but the salt water helped draw the flavor down into the center of the meat. So that's why it needed to be there in the first place. And it protected it from going bad while it was brining. So I'm going to cover this with fresh water and put it in the refrigerator for a while. Yep, that's the next step. Get the smoker ready. Fire up a little charcoal, get you some hickory, apple, cherry, whatever you want. Today we're going to be using hickory for the fire and cherry for the smoke. So we'll have hickory and cherry together, really. Ought to make some fantastic bacon. We're going to throw a little bit of chicken in there too that's been in the fridge for a few days marinating, so that ought to be good too. Okay, it's the next day. I filled the pan with water and let them soak overnight to reduce the salt so they're not overly salty. And as you can see, that water changed color, so it drew some of the salt and flavor out of it, but there's still plenty in there, trust me. The next step after that is to drain the water off of this and pat it dry so that the smoke can soak in real well, because it just works better on dry meat as opposed to wet meat. And then we'll get it in the smoker. Okay, now I've got them all patted dry and on a plate, ready to take them out to the smoker. You might want to have one of these things handy. Check the description. I'll have a link or two down there for you. That would be one of them. So that you're ready to check the internal temperature, because you don't want it to go over about 150. 145 is optimal. Okay, we got the bacon on the top and the chicken in the bottom. The drumsticks have been soaking in barbecue seasoning for 3 days. The thighs have been soaking in spicy seasoning for 5 days, so they ought to be good, especially when a little bit of that bacon fat drips on them. But not too much, because we don't want to cook the bacon in here. We just want to smoke the bacon. So about 145, 150 is all you want to go. Any more than that, you're going to start cooking it. which I'm sure if you cooked it in the smoker, man, that'd be a really good pork roast. But we want bacon. So we got some hickory in there, got some hot charcoal here. What's next? Well, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? We dump that charcoal in there, get the heat rolling, get the smoke rolling. We got this piece of semi-green hickory I'm going to lay right on top, give us a little extra smoke. And yes, I have some cherry wood we're going to go get too. I'll close this door. When the fire gets going, I'll put in some nice green cherry wood. If you can get green wood, like literally cut off of a living tree, that makes a lot better tasting smoke, especially with apple, than dried wood ever will. A lot better flavor, a lot more flavor. Got smoke coming out the chimney. Let's go get that cherry wood and put on, and I'll be back with you when we're done. And this is what it looks like after you take it out of the smoker. I've already cut a little bit of it so you can see inside. Looks like bacon. On the outside, looks like a smoked piece of meat. But it's not cooked. Not yet. I can't speak for the flavor yet, but the smell is wonderful. Nice and smoky. Looking forward to that first bite. So let's do that. Now the real test. That's good. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And stop eating.